Let's do it. I
Everyone
don't know
heard.
if we're live or not.
Everyone heard that. Let's
Hell yeah.
do
I
it.
I was actually trying to time it so when it was actually live to do that.
Yeah. So everyone did hear that. So for better or for worse, but welcome back to Go Again Gaming and welcome to the Azalea cult. Thanks for joining me today, Kel. Jim's not here because I think he's a bit ill. So hopefully he gets well soon enough. And I'm going to be seeing him in Birmingham actually, so I'll be able to catch up with him for
Nice.
like a um, like a recap of our Azalea adventures over the weekend. But how are you doing?
I'm doing really good. It's funny you mentioned Birmingham. I'm not going, but
Yeah,
the tournament organizer gave me some packages to give away,
that's right.
and I just kind of did a thing on my thing on my Twitter. I was like, "Hey, post your dankest flesh and blood meme, and we'll like pick two winners." And one of the winners was Big Boss Book Club from the
That's right.
UK, which is
Yeah,
a content creator. So
yeah.
they'll be going at least, which is pretty sweet. The other person was from France, so got two European folks going on in for it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
So,
that's quality. Well, a bit of insider baseball. Big Boss Book Club is actually an avid member of the Go Again Gaming Discord, and is actually a patron of my channel as well. I think and yours also, perhaps. But
I know he's in my Discord. I don't know if he's. I don't
yeah,
know if he's a patron because patrons like usually sign up with like their real names, and
mm,
honestly, I don't have everyone memorized. But
yeah.
if he is, cool. If not, that's cool too.
So
You
yeah,
know?
he's loving life. He can't wait to go. He was obviously he's part of my Bravo Bros show. That's him. He's in one of those along with Pascal. So he was absolutely
Nice.
over the moon. And we mentioned it on the Bravo Bros next episode, which we recorded yesterday actually. So
Oh, sweet.
he mentions it on that, and he's well happy about it. Because he was originally going to be playing Blitz. Obviously, we'll get into Azalea talk in a moment. People that are in the chat or what have you, we'll get there eventually. People tuning in there in the future. But yeah, he was originally going to be playing Bravo in the Battle Hardened, which is the Sunday. But because of the fact he won the Fabled package, he's now going to be playing CC in the Calling. But I'm not sure what he's going to be playing.
Nice.
I think he said maybe Azuri or something else, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, it was cool to see his name pop up. I did just random draw, just like a comment picker thing, and it's always cool to see people that I recognize.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah,
It's good stuff. Andrew is saying no gym today. No gym today, unfortunately. Andrew, he is unwell at the moment, but he's going to be at Birmingham next week. So we're going to do like a little roundup, like we did before for an Azalea Cult episode, like in the hotel room situation. We'll probably do that again. So you expect to see him on the next one. Another thing as well to announce before we go into the Bullseye Braces ban. Finally, been itching to speak about this. Is the Azalea Ringer is going to be returning. So I'm going to flash up a little image here. The Azalea Ringer is going to be returning very, very soon, and expect to see all the new decks come out for that. And Bill's going to be piloting those to what success? I don't know. I do love playing CC against Bill because he just brings the deck. He's got all the cards, just builds the decks, and then just. I don't. Sometimes I figure like, does he even know how to play with these decks? Bless him, but it's so
yeah,
funny.
sure, why not?
Bring it to the table.
How hard can it be?
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's always good fun. So that's gonna be coming back soon in a few weeks after he's built the decks for it. And yeah, so the main topic is Bullseye Bracers ban, of course, how this could affect Azalea. But first of all, why was it banned? Bullseye Bracers was used in, obviously, Azalea, which is obviously what we're going to be speaking about today, but also Lexi, which is...
Riptide. Oh, I mean Lexi.
Oh, yeah. There is another Ranger. Completely forgot about him, bless him. Poor thing.
Poor Riptide. He's just trying his best. He's just fishing up some fish
Yeah.
and just trying his best, man.
He's just trying his best. Smelly fish boy. Moist boy, as Joey calls him.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bullseye Braces was banned to try and curb Lexi's damage output because they evaluated that Lexi is just the fact that she can draw so well and what have you in 2 instances of bow activations at instant speed, and the fact of Bullseye Braces on board being a permanent way of getting something else into the arsenal. was just too strong, and obviously Azalea caught the splash damage. But what's your sort of initial thoughts on this ban for mainly Lexi, I guess, because you play a lot of Lexi, don't you? So,
I mean, Lexi's pretty good.
yeah.
And she does a lot of damage. Okay. Overall, I think it is a good ban because it doesn't completely dumpster the deck, right?
No.
So it doesn't take. It's not like the way I like to think about it is I used to play Magic back when Splinter Twin and Modern was a thing, and I remember when Splinter Twin got banned, and it just dead. The deck's dead. Like they banned Splinter Twin, dead. Like you don't. It's just gone. And then everyone who had those decks, good luck. I mean, like, I guess you can still have your snapcasters for other stuff, but yeah, your deck's just gone.
That's the thing. That's the thing, isn't it? I remember seeing like Pleasant Kenobi's thumbnails, like Splinter Twin never did anything wrong or something. It's just like when you ban when you ban that card, which is pivotal to the deck, you just dismantle the whole deck. Bullseye Bracers doesn't do that. If you ban Voltaire or Three of a Kind, you got a different story, haven't you?
Yeah, it's just like goodbye. It's like Fi, which is a really funny thing because I think Fi got absolutely dumpstered too, and no one plays Fi anymore.
That's right.
Maybe Fi can have a resurgence here. It's something we talked about on the last Living Legends, but yeah. So after thinking about it a lot, I do like the ban, and I do definitely understand where they're coming from with it. And my main concern with it, honestly, was giving Lexi the Fi treatment, and basically that is like banning something pivotal to the point where people don't want to play the hero anymore. It falls out of the meta, becomes a lot weaker, and then Lexi doesn't have her quote time in the sun, right? No ranger has ever gotten even close to the amount of living legend points that Guardian and Runeblade and Illusionist have. Guardian and Runeblade are the two big ones. They have almost, I don't know the percentage, but they have way more living legend points than any other classes in the game, and it's not even like close, right? It's just like thousands of points, and then I think Illusionist has like 1,000 points, and then everything else, So I was afraid that they would just be like, stomp the Rangers down. They don't get the living legend points, and I don't think that was their intent.
No.
So I do like the ban, and the funniest part for me is the ban was for Lexi, and I think it hurts Azalea more. I think it hurts Azalea and Riptide more because Lexi still has a really nice legendary arm piece with Shock Charmers.
Yeah.
Shock Charmers is really good. If it's in a different kind of deck, right? Shock Charmers doesn't really work in the no fuse deck, but it does work very well in the ice deck, right? Because you get those extra activation, the ping, so you can get multiple discards and all that kind of stuff. So it's a different style of deck, and unfortunately, it does make people want to play like Ice Lexi more than like the no fuse style.
That's what I came up against as well, like in the RTN event. I covered it briefly on the last Azalea cult with Jim was there, but that's what I came into Alexi, which was running ice instead. I think that was prior to the ban though, but yeah, as you say, we're going to go into the arm pieces that we have access to later on in the episode, but we don't have, like Azalea doesn't have a legendary or even majestic. Well, you can count the generics, I guess, but we don't have a synergistic legendary or majestic anymore.
I think the biggest bummer is like, we'll talk about this when we get to the point, but there's like not a lot of like fun, flavorful like ranger pieces to use. They're all like generics.
That's right.
Which is just kind of like sad, Yeah. Like there's some good stuff, and we'll talk about it. But there's like, So anyway, my big takeaway is Lexi's still pretty good. We saw her top, in the finals at the Battle Hardened, lost to Icelander. That wasn't even close. That wasn't even close. I guess that's what happens when you rock up with no Arcane Barrier. But
fully intending to race, and I haven't seen it, but obviously we heard a little bit of what Brian was saying about the Warmongers being a big card now, and dismantling stuff that way. Seems like a great Icelander card, being a blue and what have you as well.
Yeah, I think Lexi is not as affected by Warmongers as Azalea, because Lexi operates at instant speed for a lot of stuff, and you don't use a lot of like the non-attack buffs. I mean, it does hurt your 3 of a kind draw, turns and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're just kind of like, firing off your bolt and shots, you have your rain razors, which is an instant, which is not affected by warmongers.
True.
You can still kind of like do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the band, I get it. Brian Gottlieb and I had a really good like back and forth on Twitter about it, like talking about the ban, and I said what I said here, that I felt that I just really didn't want. I really wanted Lexi and Ranger overall to have their time in the sun, right? Because it really felt like Runeblades, Guardians, and to a lesser extent Illusionist, but they've kind of had their time to shine, and it was like. With Outsiders, I was like, oh, this is a chance for Rangers to be like the good class.
Yeah.
And so I understand I understand where they're going with the ban, and they still want it to have the time in the sun. We'll see how things pan out with Dust Hold On, but
yeah, we've still been seeing a lot of Lexis making it up there, haven't we? And it's still very powerful with regards to what she can do. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the Dust Till Dawn affects that, because nobody's figured it out yet.
Yeah.
But
Warmonger's kind of dumps on Azalea and Riptide. Yeah.
So I have found a little bit of, if that's going to be the new hotness to try and tech your deck against, is the Warmonger's diplomacy turns. Dreadbore can get around that quite easily, because you can load in an arrow, give it +1, and that's your buff up front with a bolt and shot. So you can give your bolt and shot, go again with Dreadbore. So I've been messing around with that. I might take some form of weird list to Birmingham, which I've been brewing up, which is a lot of yellow arrows actually. So we'll stay tuned for that, see if that does anything. Probably not, because it's an Az deck, but there we go. But we'll see. But yeah, what are the main implications for Azalea as Bullseye Bracers gets banned? So my first point on this is, and they mentioned this in the article, is like starts in play, stays in play, is what I took away from this article when I read it for the first time. Starts in play, stays in play. So what does Bullseye Bracers do? We're going to flash up the card now while we're speaking about this. So an action, destroy it. If you have no cards in your arsenal, you may put an arrow card from your hand face up into your arsenal. It gets +1 till end of turn. Go again. And it has a piece of AB on it, which is another point we'll get to later on. But the first thing that happens is your consistency of being able to load arrows into your arsenal with Azalea drops massively, because the only way you can really load an arrow into your arsenal is through the use of a bow, and Azalea can only do that once, because obviously she's got Death Dealer or Dreadbore or Red Liner if you so desire. She doesn't have Voltaire. You can't load two things in on your turn. So the only way of getting something into there is putting it in there with Death Dealer. You can obviously have bolt on shot turns which reload things in, but that still has to hit and all of this stuff. So my sort of proposed solution, although I have 0 credibility, I've won no events, I'm just trying to throw out thought-provoking ideas, is looking at the reload mechanics again. Because Bullseye Bracers was one of those things that allowed Azalea players to attack more than once on a turn where maybe a bolt and shot was blocked. So if you bump up a red bolt and shot with a take aim or something, it's coming in for 7, go again. But if it doesn't hit, you can't reload. So maybe you should put more reload in the deck, and smooth over the fact that you're not going to have those, that Bullseye Bracers on field as well. So there's a few cards that I could look at first glance to potentially take out, and that's Deadeye and Melting Point. So both of these cards really care about aim counters. So in Sandscour Greatbow, that's a great card to have a look at, because obviously you get loads of stuff off of it. But if you want to try and smooth over the bow, the inherent issue of only having one reload, you could look at Overflex instead, because it pretty much does exactly the same thing. Let me flash up these cards here as well. So at the moment you've got on screen, you've got Deadeye and Melting Point. The next arrow attack gets +3, and next arrow attack gets +4 for a red and a yellow. But if you switch those out for overflexes, gives you exactly the same thing. Doesn't block as much, but you can still give your next arrow attack +3, and you reload as well. So I think that could be a good thing. They're basically the same cards. They do exactly the same thing. It's just that you can reload as well.
I don't think I would cut Deadeye. I think Deadeye's too good. It's so good. Like, just taking a card out of their hand and also seeing their hand is just crazy. And then, like, you know, your Azalea, you're running the Crow's Nest, right? So on the turn that you are going to be dominating your arrow, you can guarantee that you have the aim counter, right? So you can still kind of like hit him with the Deadeye.
If
like,
you're
is like is the reload on the yellow overflex better than looking at your opponent's hand and making him discard a card when you're dominating him?
It depends how much you can get the how often you can get the Deadeye off, and whether you've got the resource to pay for it as well. That's the thing, because I have got off the Deadeye a few times, but now without the Bullseye Bracers, I think it's going to be much harder to do that. But also, obviously, yeah, Deadeye blocks for 3 as well. Both of those other cards as well, the Melting Point and the Deadeye, both block for 3, which is another point as to why they could be classed as strictly better. But the fact with Overflex, if you play Overflex, pitching something like a Tunic or whatever, you load in the Bolt and Shot. The Bolt and Shot will then have go again on hit reload from the buff. But then if they block that, you can then still load something in with a Death Dealer or a Dreadbore afterwards. You know, after you've done that, which I think could open up more things. Because if they just block out your Bolt and Shot now as an Azalea player, you want to be doing 2 attacks most of the time. You then if you've loaded that in with Death Dealer, you can't then do anything else after that unless you've got like a follow up like a generic or something like that, E-Strike or whatever.
Yeah. So you would need to do the overflex after you shoot, because you don't have 2 arsenal slots, right? So the first overflex would reload the bolt and shot into the arsenal. You shoot the bolt and shot.
Yeah.
And then it has go again. If they block it out, you would need another overflex to then reload again into the arsenal.
No, that's when you activate your bow. So you play your overflex or your reload card first, load in the thing that you want to use, attack with it, and then you've still got your bow because you haven't activated your bow yet. So that's one of the things I used to do a lot. Was in an old Azalea decks I used to play, was I didn't even use my bow. I just used reload effects to put stuff in, and then if I needed to put something in with a bow, I could. Another thing which is great about reload as well is it turns on your cross wrap for the turn, because you load something in face down and then you can turn that thing face up. So if you haven't had an arsenal the turn before, you can flip that thing face up, look at the top card, and then even go the dominate route if the card on top is better. So it sort of lends itself to more of a mid-range style thing, whereas Death Dealer is just pure aggro Azalea. Because you just see more cards, you can get to use more cards. But yeah, so obviously you could lose block on these replacements. So as you can see, both overflexes are still flashed up on the screen. But the statement I've written down on here is it could smooth out your wide turns without Bullseye, where you sometimes need that extra put something into your arsenal effect. Take Aim is another one of those cards as well. So if we get rid of these, Take Aim is another one of those cards which is, I think it could see more play now as well, because again it's a 0 cost and it reloads in a bolt and shot without you having to activate your bow. Then you fire the bolt and shot, and then if they block it all, sometimes they don't, sometimes they do, but if they've got even more buffs behind this, they might want to block the bolt and shot. It will then prevent them. If they do block it, you can still load something in with a bow. So it just opens up those lines a little bit easier if you have more reload. If you didn't, if you had something like premeditate or whatever in front of this instead, if they block that, you're then in the shit basically, because you can't load anything else in if they block 7 or if they block with a piece of equipment. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at these and I'm thinking, another way you could go with it, and I don't think it's. I'm looking at your docket here. I'm making sure it's not already on here.
Yeah.
Is to go just all in on the one attack. So like, just be like, screw it. I don't care about attacking twice. I want to be like a guardian, and I just want to hit you with one big dominated thing.
Yeah.
Like, and you could do that too.
Yeah, you could just go the pure evasion route, which is kind of something that I'm looking at doing at the moment with the Dreadbore thing, which I mentioned just a moment ago. Just trying to go full evasion, full dominate, and seeing what happens. Because Dreadbore's great at that, because obviously it gets around D-react from hand, and it can really clog up some stuff. So that could work with that sort of style. But Death Dealer, I think, is just one of those cards that everybody loves for the fact that you get to play and see more cards. It's just one of those powerful things.
Yeah.
Morgan is saying, I love that old school style reload Azalea. Yeah, it is very old school, isn't it? Reload's an old mechanic. It didn't really come back in Outsiders because Riptide just did it on his hero ability, essentially, didn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So, yeah, reload isn't something we have seen for a while. Hashtag Azalea Cult, Super Mario was saying. Absolutely. But yeah, that's one idea I've had, is reload, using more reload effects. They don't block as well, as we said earlier. Deadeye and Melting Point don't block. They block better than Overflexes. But, yeah.
For the reload thing, do you think then Azalea could be more of a mid-range kind of thing where you actually bring in, like, take aims, right? So you could... It's more of the go tall than the go wide, so you can... Or not take aim, take cover. Take cover. So you can bring in the take covers, block on your opponent's turn, reload, and then on your turn you'd be something like, you know, pump arrow kind of deal.
Yeah, I think also that's another good idea, because that used to be another thing I used to love, was take covers, because again it's one of those things. We'll get onto the quiver of rustling leaves in a minute, which is another thing I've been messing around with. Is take cover on your... If you're going second and you take cover, you can reload a card into your arsenal, so you start with a 5-card hand on the first turn. So take covers are very good for that. If you draw them in your first turn and they attack you, you're loving life, because you're going to crack back with 5 cards. And as soon as you get that ball rolling with Azalea, especially with all the new Outsider stuff like all the lace widths and all that sort of thing, you're going to be off to the races straight away. But yeah, that's another thing that I haven't really experimented with since the early days, is take cover. So that could be another thing, because it it works with the cross wrap as well, right? Because it's in your arsenal for next turn. You flip it up and see what's on the top to maybe go that dominated route.
Yeah.
Because then you're operating off of smaller hands, aren't you? Because you blocked with maybe 2 cards, you've reloaded 1, and then you buff it up by 2, and then you're firing off quite a large arrow still, perhaps.
I will say, if you're gonna bring back reload, wait a minute. This is... Az and I were talking off screen before this about like bans and restricted things, and how sometimes it can be muddy remembering what is banned in what thing and whatever. And I just was thinking, I think plunder runs, are plunder runs banned in... Is it CC or Blitz? I don't remember off the top of my head.
Both, I think. I think maybe both.
No, I think you can play plunder run on one of them.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe Blitz. I'm not sure.
But I was like, you can... This is also a classic. You can reload plunder runs and then play the plunder run from your arsenal. So you have like basically more, premeditate style of effects.
Oh god, yeah, yeah.
Because reload doesn't care what card you reload. You just put it in face down.
Yeah.
So you could like reload that. So like one of the old classics was like, reloading a plunder run, turning it face up with your skullbone, and then playing it and doing all of your fun shenanigans.
Yeah.
I have to go look up what format plunder run is banned in.
Plunder run is legal in Blitz, Andrew is saying in chat. Yeah, so...
Okay, so it's banned in CC, legal in Blitz. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense, because obviously Barrage has abused it, didn't she, when Plunder run was available.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so just quickly summing up the reload thing then. So I think, obviously, all of these cards allow you to load in, like, the Bolton shots, I think, is the main thing. I don't want to be anymore. If I'm playing Death Dealer, I don't want to be loading in Bolton shots with Death Dealer, because then if they block it out, I've got nothing else to do after that. I want to be able to do 2 things with multiple on hits on each attack. So the Bolton shot can either threaten maybe the lace with inertia if that's behind it, plus the fact that if it hits you reload. If they block that, you still got Death Dealer to then put something in, or Dreadbore in my case, which I'm experimenting with again, to put something in and then fire that off instead. So you can still keep doing 2 attacks. is my thinking towards this, and something that also goes into that similar strategy as well of having more activations of getting things into your arsenal on your board state. What did Ranger get recently? Quivers, and this is a funny thing because Quiver of Rustling Leaves, which I'll flash up now, was never considered as an Azalea card. Quiver of Rustling Leaves. For an instant, you pay 3, reveal the top card of your deck. So you can, if you think of things that reveal things on the top of your deck, that's fairly synergistic with Azalea, because if you reveal something, you can then dominate it if you want to, if it's an arrow. But the thing is with this is, if you do the Quiver, reveal the top card of your deck, if it's an arrow, put it face up into your arsenal and destroy it. That can sometimes save you if you don't have any other bow activations of Azalea, and I have used this a few times and it has worked. But what you can also do is, if you've already got a card in your arsenal, you can actually use this as a way of revealing another piece of information, which you can then use for a dominate if you're looking for that instead. And like you said with take cover, if you're going second, if you've got enough resources, you can do this thing like Lexi wants to do. You can start with a 5-card crackback on your turn.
Or it lets you mulligan your hand, which is great too.
Yeah.
If they're doing just kind of like a dirtily thing, play something pass and not letting you like block so you can draw up, you can just yeet your entire hand to your Quiver, because it only gets destroyed if you put an arrow in. So either you get an arrow, which is great, so you have a bigger hand, or you just gotta yeet your whole hand and then draw up when they draw up because it's first turn.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. I like the Quiver.
Yeah, and I've been looking at it more and more for Azalea now because of the fact we don't have the stays in play, stays on board, reload effect of the Bullseye Bracers, because this is another way you can get something into the arsenal face up if there's an arrow on top of your deck, which can help. It's very expensive, but again it synergizes in a way where it reveals top of your deck. So if you are looking for an extra dominate, perhaps you might be able to find it with this. And if you have no other way of putting something else into your arsenal, you can potentially still do that. If you've got like a blue in your hand that you can't get into your arsenal any other way, you might, by luck, play this, reveal an endless arrow on top. That goes into your arsenal, and then you can at least fire that afterwards, which then threatens an arsenal because it comes back to your hand, sort of thing. But yeah. So more information. I want to see more information going forward with this. And another thing worth noting as well about Death Dealer, I feel like with all these reload effects, with all of these, like you want to be putting in more opts as well, like read the glide path and stuff. Ideally, you want to be activating your bow the last thing you do, because that's the only thing that will allow you to put something into your arsenal naturally. So you want to try and get all of the information gathered as much as you can first, and then do your bow activation. Because after that, with the tools that Azalea now does not have, we can't get something else in afterwards. So, but yeah, I feel like people should be prioritizing revealing information and gaining more access to reload in future Azalea decks. That is my statement. I could be completely and utterly wrong. I have no credibility with regards to winning events with Azalea, but that's my thoughts for people to dissect and do with what they will. So that's the first point anyway. More reload.
Yeah. More reload.
More reload.
I think if you want to stay like in more of a go wide kind of thing, more reload makes a lot of sense. It's funny because like I was thinking that a go tall would be the de facto, but then they printed Warmonger's Diplomacy, and I was like, well,
yeah,
maybe it's not so great. But it's also not great for go wide either. I think either way, Warmonger is kind of like dunks Azalea.
Yeah, it does, because she wants to be doing a 50-50 both, doesn't she? She wants to be playing non-attack actions followed by attack actions to really get the ball rolling, which is why I think Dreadbore, plus the stuff I've been saying today about reloads and stuff, maybe not so much with Warmongers. Well, you can, because obviously you play with Warmongers. You can only activate your weapon or play attack actions, right?
Yeah.
So the Azalea lines that are available to you with with Dreadbore are still a little bit better than Death Dealer because it gives you that buff on the first Bolton shot, which then allows you to fire it with Go again and potentially get another reload activation, which is what I've been saying about the reload. But then at that point, you would have had to put in the thing in with Dreadbore. But it still allows you to go a little bit wider than you would probably necessarily be able to do if that card is played essentially against you. But another thing that was lost as a result of Bullseye going down the drain was Arcane Barrier. So Bullseye Bracers was always a permanent Arcane Barrier on the field, which we've never had to deal with otherwise. We've never been able to be like, okay, we're going to put Null Rune in our deck. We don't need to do that because we've always had Skullbone being one and Bullseye Bracers being one. And now we just have, one AB permanently. It's just like, what's going on? We've lost our.
I thought of a joke.
What's that then?
Yeah. You know what also? You know what also has Arcane Barrier?
Null Rune.
Trench.
Oh, Trench of Sunken Treasure.
Trench of Sunken Treasures. There's the key.
Yeah.
Arcane Barrier 1. Let's go. Hey, it's a strict upgrade over Null Rune Ropes.
It really is. But I think we need the Tunic, but, you know, who knows.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've never had to deal with this. The fact that we now have AB1, because we've always used the same equipment. We've always used the Skullbone, the Bullseye. We've always used it. But yeah, so obviously it had AB1 as standard. So we now actively have to be like, right, how do we get AB2 now? Which is obviously unheard of in the history of this class. But what I do like about Azalea is that she has a lot of on-hit hand and arsenal disruption, which I think is the key to outracing arcane damage dealing classes anyway. Like when I played against Steven, DM Armada on the Azalea Ringer recently, he also had that same insight. He was like, right, you kept interacting with my arsenal, you kept giving me inertia and seek and destroy triggers, and that really, really hurts wizards, especially Icelander. Icelander absolutely hates the fact inertia and seek and destroy exist. So if you can keep threatening the arsenal against Icelander, you're in a good place. So I still don't know what to do with Arcane Barrier really though at the moment in CC. I don't really know what to do with it because AB2 was always there, so I don't really know what to do.
I mean, your only options really are your boots or your gloves, right? So you can either give up one of the gloves that we're going to be bringing in, which might be the actual choice.
Yeah.
Or you give up your Snapdragons or whatever other boots you're going to be using. So, yeah, that's basically the choice. And unfortunately, I don't think it's just Null Rune, because I don't think there are any, like, others that... let me think. Yeah, I don't think there's any others. Like, you don't have any, like, cool dual AB slash, you know, effect gloves or boots.
No.
Rangers really don't have a lot of, like, good gloves or boots. The Rangers don't really have great stuff that aren't hats. It's just hats. They just have a bunch of hats, and then they have a coat.
On a coat.
They have a hat and then like a coat that's like kind of it's just like fine, I guess.
Yeah.
It looks cool. You have a cool looking coat and you have some hats, but yeah.
But yeah, AB is something we have to think of now, apart because it's not AB2 as part of a standard loadout. So, but I don't think we need to worry too much about it because of the fact that we do have access to these. The Icelander matchup's always been quite nice because you have all of this Arsenal hate, and you know Icelander operates from the Arsenal. So, Seek and Destroy and Inertia very good against wizard classes, which. To
be fair, Briar might hit Living Legend soon, so you might not need to worry about Rosetta Thorn.
No, exactly. Yeah.
She did pretty well at the last Battle Hardened. She didn't win, but like, you know, top 8, still pretty good.
Yeah.
So
no,
she's already super close to Living Legend. She just needs to win like a couple events. So
they're using some of the spicy cards as well. They're using Meeps or something, weren't they? When Brian was watching.
Hell yeah, the Meeps, dude.
Yeah.
The Meeps. You know, we're talking about Azalea stuff. Meeps and the other card, I think it's actually really sweet for Azalea. Hold on, not meeps for Azalea. I mean, you can
Oh,
meep
the
it up
one
if you
that
want.
destroys auras. That one.
Yeah, dude. I think I only pulled one of them in my 10 boxes so far. Yeah, Hack to Reality. It's a 1-drop, +2, go again. And then it says, the next time you hit a hero this turn, destroy a non-token aura they own with cost less than or equal to the damage dealt this way.
Yeah.
So, like, that's a pretty sweet way to, like, you know, as Azalea to blow up some of their like auras and whatnot.
Yeah, it's pretty nice actually, because obviously even if you hit Prism with an attack, any damage that's dealt can still destroy the auras, based on the amount of damage, like sort of like a crush effect almost. So yeah, that could be something that completely skipped my mind in the set. I didn't really see it at all, really, to be honest. So it could be something that Rangers use against Illusionists. But I think the main one that we're all afraid of is Dromai, and it does absolutely nothing against Dromai because it's dragons, isn't it, that she summons? It's not auras.
Yeah, the dragons are allies.
Yeah, so it doesn't work against those. But it works against the Spectra stuff and the other things that are out. So you don't actually have to. Could work against like Prism. Like could be a nice sideboard option against Prism. I don't know whether it makes the cut until Prism is figured out though. But yeah, that means you can just you can still target Prism and still blow up her things at the same time, which is nice.
Yep.
But yeah, we won't worry too much about AB and Arcane Barrier and all that sort of thing, but because our Wizard matchups are normally quite good because of the Arsenal in hand hate is what I've written on the document here. But looking at the alternatives for the Bullseye Bracers, we're going to flash up some stuff now on here. So the first thing that we have is Bracers of Belief. That is the thing that a lot of people are using now, and I can see why they're using it. There's a couple of good things on here. So similar to the Quiver of Rustling Leaves, action destroy it, reveal the top card of your deck. Obviously, you just have to destroy it though. You can't just reveal it and then see what happens. But if you do, the next attack action card you play is turn gaze plus X, where X is 3 minus the pitch value of the card revealed this way. So normally that's a red on top. That's what you're aiming for, isn't it? A red on top. Because then you get +2. So a lot of people are using this in conjunction to with Not a Death Whistle. So if you Not a Death Whistle something, you reload something, you know that's going to be a red on top. So you can give this next thing +2, which could be quite good. It's like a Goliath gauntlet on board for arrows, really.
Yeah.
I've seen in the chat earlier on, Morgan said that he was using Goliath. He was been toying with Goliath Gauntlet in Azalea for CC and battering bolts, but it's not enough. No, that's true. Probably not the gloves to use.
So it feels like this is why one of the reasons why I was like, okay, I understand the Bullseye Bracer ban, is that it really feels that they want about 2-ish points of damage for your glove piece. Like they want your gloves to represent about 2 points of damage, right? So like, unless you're doing something crazy with bracers and revealing like a Gorgonian tome, it's going to be like basically like 2 points of damage. And then like Goliath Gauntlet, 2 points of damage, right?
Yeah.
And that feels like what they want to just in general have your gloves worth. So that's like one of the reasons why Stubby Hammers got yeeted, because it's like way more than +2, right? On a turn where it pops off, it could be like, you know, +4 or more, right? So that's why I was like, okay, I get it, right? Because Bullseyes gave you +1, and then the opportunity to do more, right? It doesn't inherently give you like more, but it gives you the opportunity to do more with the reload, depending on what cards you have in your hand. So Bracers feels baseline to me, like, which is sad to say. I think it's probably one of the better picks. And it feels like perfectly like this is the not broken, the standard power level. Like +2, like I said, feels like the standard power level for a glove piece. And
yeah,
there's Bracers of Belief. It's the standard power level. It's a generic from Arcane Rising that no one except Dash uses because she doesn't have anything better.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Except, well, to be fair, if you're doing Nitro Mechanoid, you don't use Bracers of Belief. You use the other thing.
the galvanic bender, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is okay. This is all right. I've been using some other things which we'll get to in a bit, but synergistic wise, obviously it reveals the top card of your deck. So if you've tried to flip up your cross wrap, if you tried to read the glide path multiple times, and you're just looking for that dominate, this allows you to then play an action, destroy it, and reveal the top card again after you've gone an extra one deep to potentially find it. And then if it's a red, you obviously get +2 on the next attack, which is pretty good. It's pretty spicy if you can get that off. And again, it lends itself to what you said earlier, a massively go tall version, like massively evasive.
Yeah. It feels better than that. And then if you're like desperate, do it, and then you reveal your knock the death whistle, then you just cry.
Then you cry
because it just gives you +0.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, that sucks.
But yeah. I think, I mean, at that point, you've wasted your entire turn. You're just hoping that the Braces of Belief, you're just like believing in the heart of the cards at that point. You're just like, yes, come on now. But still, it doesn't put it into your arsenal or anything. It just gives you an extra thing, which is So yeah, this is essentially a +2. In ideal situations, it is a +2 on an arrow that is going to be dominated. That's the best thing, and it can sometimes give you a little bit more information if you are digging desperately for dominate.
Yeah. Spoilers: all of the gloves, I think, have 2 as the magic number. So
all the gloves.
Well.
Yes, they do. Yeah, I think so. I think you're right.
Yeah.
But yeah, the next one then is one called Toxic Tips. So this is actually one that came out in Outsiders. This one does block. So it's an assassin / ranger equipment arms. Blocks for 1 blade break. But as an action, you can pay 1 and destroy it. The next attack action card you play this turn gains, when this hits, create a frailty, blood rot, or inertia token under the opponent's control, which I think is. I've had some cool stories with this, but I just don't. I don't think it's as good as Braces of Belief. But yeah.
So. It's not as good because it has to hit.
Exactly.
And it doesn't help you hit. It doesn't actually help you hit.
No.
So Braces of Belief helps you hit. And it makes your other on-hit effects better. This one doesn't. This just adds more to the on-hit effects, right?
Yeah.
So, like, this one does also represent 2 damage, right? A Blood Rot Pox is about, 2 points of damage. Frailty or Inertia can represent more depending on what you're playing against. Like, because, like, a Frailty token can represent a lot of damage prevented against a ninja, for example.
Yeah.
So frailty can represent more, but in terms of just like raw damage, just like bracers, it represents about 2. But unfortunately, I think it's harder to pull off because you actually have to hit. And not only does this cost 1 to activate, but also like they can just block it forehead, and there you go. I've played this in like commoner and like budget versions of like assassin, and it like almost never does anything.
No.
They just block it. It's just like the card reads action 1 resource, destroy toxic tip. The next attack action card you play this turn gains block this card. That's what it says.
Yeah.
And then they do that, and then or they don't care. So that's the other thing. They either block it or they're like, I don't care. Like they don't care about the inertia or the frailty or the damage. It's like whatever, I just take it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some cool stories where I've given a ravenous rabble a on hit,
nice.
an on hit, and then suddenly they have to think about actually blocking the ravenous rabble, which is a 4 go again for nothing.
Yeah.
And I think this, in my current strange list, which I might be taking to Birmingham, we'll see if I take the strange list or whether I just take something generic. This is actually in the sideboard because it can do a few things, especially against, again, as we said earlier, wizards. if you give any of your attacks create an inertia, that's another option that you've got of just screwing up their Icelander interaction or their Kano storing an Aether Wildfire. So I think this is pretty good. For that, I'll just probably swap it in. But yeah, I probably wouldn't use it for anything else. But I have had some cool instances of, even this card gives stuff like CNC and E Strike on hit effects also. Because it's the next attack. So again, if they're thinking of this is just a plain attack coming in, I'm just going to take the damage. If you activate the tips, they then have to think again about whether they want that to hit. So it can be quite good in those scenarios, I think. But
yeah,
still no Bullseye Braces.
It's the kind of effect where it's all up to your opponent, right? Like,
yeah,
it doesn't actually help you hit more. So it's just like you're telling your opponent, like, hey, how much do you value this?
Yeah.
Right? Like, and typically effects like that, they're not like super strong, right? Because you're giving your opponent all of the options, and then they just pick whatever option's best for them.
Yeah, it's not allowing you to go over the top or anything, is it? So
you can pray that they screw up and choose the wrong thing. I mean, that is a thing in card games, right? You can just be like, oh, please choose the wrong thing.
Hopefully, yeah.
But,
hopefully they mess up and you get the big W.
Yeah, but if you're playing Flesh and Blood at a really high level, chances are they're not going to mess up.
Exactly.
But
yeah, Toxic Tips blocks for 1 as well. But yeah, that's that. And then we have another card which blocks for 1, and that is Hornet Sting, which is the last card which came out in Outsiders. No, sorry, Dynasty.
Yeah, Dynasty.
Yeah, Dynasty. But it blocks for 1, Blade Break. When this defends, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's an arrow, deal 1 damage attacking hero or ally. Otherwise, put it on the bottom of your deck. So again, synergistic-wise, it does allow you to reveal the next card that you're going to be, potentially being able to use next turn if you've got an Azalea Arsenal card, which you can then use to dominate. But that is pretty much it. You only get one. You only get one use out of it, and it's just like, oh, I don't know. I don't think it's good.
I kind of hate Hornet Sting. I think it's like, Brian Gottlieb thinks it's a valid choice, but man, it's just such a. So okay, first of all, it's got the magic 2 number, right? It blocks for 1 and deals 1 damage, so that's 2, like at the same time, right? Prevents 1, deals 1. That's like 2 points of life either way. And like I said, that's why I really think that they really want gloves to be like 2 points of whatever value, which is why some of the legendary gloves are insane that have 2 block and battle worn, where you can block 3 points, and then they also do crap. But Rangers have this, where they can block once with it.
Yeah.
They have this, they block once with it, and then the effect is like not even guaranteed. It's not like you block with it and deal 1 damage. It's block with it, and then you might deal 1 damage.
Yeah.
If you have an arrow. So I guess that like in Azalea, like it can help you determine whether or not you want to try to do like a dominate thing. But like you can like double whiff, right? It's like double bad. So you see it and you're like, oh crap, not an arrow.
Yeah.
You don't take 1 damage, and now my turn also sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like, it's like, it's on paper it's probably, or in practice it's probably fine. But I just think about it compared to like other classes stuff, and I'm just like,
yeah.
God, like okay, so let's think about the most living legend classes in the game, and think about their arm equipment, right? So you have Grasp of the Arknight that blocks for 3, and then also just keeps pumping out rune chants.
Yep.
And then you have not the Gauntlet, the Guardian one.
Crater Fist.
From Crater Fist, which also blocks for 3, or you can block for 2 and then activate it to give all your things the pump, right?
Yeah.
So like this blocks for 1, not 2, 1, and then also it like might do 1 point of damage to them. Like,
If it, I feel like
I
it, I feel
like
like it
his
should. I feel like it should just do 1 damage, but that's not what it is it really? Look at the spike.
Like,
Look at the spikes on it. It should just deal damage if you block with it. Come on now.
like, here's it should do it should. Here's a thought experiment, right? If this had 2 block, blade break, and always dealt 1 point of damage, would you use it over Bullseye Bracers?
No.
Or would you see?
Yeah.
Like even if it was like so much better. Like if it blocked two blade break and then always dealt 1 point of damage.
I mean, I think it would be a sideboard against like Guardian to prevent crush and stuff like that. I think it would be usable, but 1 block on a thing that can reveal an arrow, yeah, I just don't know.
It especially for like CC where life totals are so high.
Yeah,
it's just like 1 little chip damage. Just like doesn't feel good. It might be like I said, it might be like in practice fine, and like over the course of X number of games, you might do the math, and it might math out to be, like I said, they all have about 2 points of value, so it might all end up being the same. It just doesn't feel good. I don't think Hornet Sting just doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
I
think it's used. I think it's used in Sand Scour a lot more, because obviously you can access that top card of your deck then. Because if it's an arrow, you can then put it into your arsenal with Sand Scour. You don't have to have an arsenal or anything to actually access it. So I can see the Sand Scour arguments, but I haven't actually delved into that really too much, apart from when we played the Blitz, the Blitz things for LSS. I just want to use Sand Scour last.
I honestly think that certain classes have spoiled the power of some like equipment for other classes, right? Certain classes just have equipment pieces that are just so dumb that when you look at something like Hornet Sting, you're like, it's probably like a fair card, it's like fine.
Nice and balanced.
But then I'm just yeah, and then I'm thinking about other stuff, and it's just like
it's just like, what is going on there? Yeah.
Like even like, okay, I'll be real here. So like even like Assassin, my favorite class, we have flick knives. Compare flick knives to this. Flick knives is like more than 2 damage, because you can guarantee that you flick the knives twice, blows up your weapons, which I guess is definitely a downside. But when your opponent's at 2, like you're gonna kill him. That's when you're doing it. And then it also blocks. It has blade break, but you can also block on top of it.
Yeah.
And then there's things to like get the knives back to do more. I don't know. I get that this is like a rare, but I don't want to talk about like rarity when we talk about like useful cards, because like we're really considering here playing Braces of Belief, a common card from Arcane Rising, right?
Yeah.
Like
no, that's
what's on the table.
That's the feel bad thing, isn't it? Because the only options we have. I mean, to be fair, Azalea's only option before was a common card. But that, she's never had access to a majestic or legendary ranger arms, essentially.
The other feel bad for me is also like, it feels like Azalea in particular is just like suited up in all generics, and then her hat, like she's got tunic, she's got snapdragons, she's got now bracers, I believe, and then she's got her 1 ranger hat piece. It's like all the other ranger stuff sucks. You gotta use generic, and then your hat.
Yeah.
Rangers do have good hats. That I will. Rangers got banging hats. They go to the, I don't know, hat dealer. I was gonna say the name. It was like Chapeau. I don't know.
Yeah.
What's a hat dealer? But I was gonna say haberdasher, but that's not a hat dealer. That's like something else. But I would very much like to see like some like majestic or legendary ranger gloves or boots. Come on, they need it. They need it.
Yeah,
come on, give us the spellbound creepers for ranger. Come on,
that'd be fantastic. Yeah, playing instant speed. But yeah, I think.
I'm just saying that power level.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't want to harp too much on the rune blade, because I'm thinking about what rune blade's got, and it's like, they've got brand new legendary chest piece, or they can run like Carrion Husk. They have Spellbound Creepers for their boots. They have Grasp of the Arknight for their gloves, and for their hats. Well, their hats aren't that good, but that's fine. They can use the Crown of Providence, what that everyone else uses. Like, they're just like legendaries. I got them all, dude. And then Rangers are like, I got some commons from Arcane.
Some commons.
Common from Arcane Rising.
from
Yeah.
Arcane Rising, and then that supplementary Dynasty set. That one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I'm mostly like joking, right? But it's just funny to think about. Like, you just look across at your rune blade opponent with their like fridge of
oh
legendaries,
god,
and you're like,
yeah.
you're
All slabbed,
like,
all like slabbed up, and you just like
yeah,
running your normal see-through soft sleeves because you got a common out and
yeah, you're like Braces of Belief.
Braces of Belief.
Was Braces of Belief even good enough to get reprinted in white border? Is there a white border Braces of Belief?
I don't think so.
Because I know not all the cards got reprinted in white border. So I'm just curious
I'm
if
not
history,
sure actually.
history pack one.
Oh,
Anyway.
somebody let us know in the comments below. But yeah, I think the main things I think can smooth over this loss of Bullseye Bracers is reload mechanics. I think that's one of the main things that can smooth it all over to make it a little bit better for you. If you're running the same sort of strategies as before, just something to think about, something to experiment with. Use more reload. That's what I'm doing at the moment. And yeah, just let us know. Let us know how it goes. The Azalea Cult Discord. There's links in the description box below for how you can navigate yourself there. But yeah. That is pretty much it for that. But we're gonna look at some Azalea Cult hashtags now as well, with some stories of people out in the wild that are experiencing Azalea and showing their thoughts and all that sort of stuff. So let me just go over to this other screen.
You can get a white border Braces of Belief. So while you're staring down your opponent in full legendaries, you can have your white border Braces of Belief and your white border Snapdragon Scalers and your white border tunic and your white border hat.
Oh, so, really?
There you go.
Well,
you got it.
Fantastic. I've just realised that... sorry, what was you going to say?
And then you can look at their spellbound creepers and be like, even white border, bro?
White.
Look at this.
Oh my god.
The borders of my cards are so white, they're blinding, man. They're blinding.
They're just absolutely dazzling your opponent. Just whatever edge you need, just get it. I'm just editing this OBS. I've completely forgot that I have not done this one, so I'm just doing it absolutely live here, behind the scenes.
Do it live.
Doing it live. So here we go. But yeah, Azalea Cult hashtags for people that are on the socials. You can submit your Azalea Cult hashtags, and we will pick them up on here on the Azalea Cult every time we do this. So first of all, we've got. So what was you gonna say?
I was just gonna say to get more people. This is like what is it? An engagement bait.
Yeah.
If anyone out there wins a game with Hornet Sting, hashtag Azalea Cult and tweet about it or whatever.
Oh,
I want to know if you're killing people with Hornet Sting. That's great.
We want
that's
to hear
awesome.
it. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hashtag Azalea Cult or hashtag the Azalea Cult, whatever you choose. Let us know if you win a game with Hornet Sting or the tails that you have with it. We want to know.
It has to be the finishing point of damage. Like they're attacking you, and you're like Hornet Sting, reveal, red in the ledger, gotcha, or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's got him thinking now.
I'm sorry. I was like, are there any like instant speed ways to put? There are. So you could set it up where I don't know if Azalea is running these anymore, but you could set it up to do a memorial ground. So you memorial ground instant. Put the arrow on top and then Hornet Sting block to deal the point of damage.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good one.
Now you're playing with power.
Nice cooking with go against spice.
Yeah, and then you follow up with the Codex of Inertia to put that right on in. Don't even have to get that load. There you go.
Hold on a minute. Codexes reload, don't they? Certain blood rock reloads.
Sort of. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Well. Yes.
Hold on a minute.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I figured you're running the codexes anyway, right?
Yeah. Obviously, Codex for Frailty, but I haven't thought of the other ones, which also could be another way of potentially reloading, but also giving them a thing as well. perhaps.
Oh, Blood Rot is sick, dude. I run it in my lexi deck.
Yeah.
Blood Rot puts it face down, so it doesn't technically say the word reload, but it
does.
you put a card from your hand face down, yeah, and then your opponent puts a card from their hand face down. So yeah, you can like activate all of your shenanigans with it. Blood Rot's like underrated. It's sick, dude. If your ponder token gives them Blood Rot, it's good. Good shit.
No, that's pretty good, yeah. Because you can, if you put it face down, you can still activate the cross wrap. So it's essentially a reloader. And then if you then fire that and it has go again, you can still activate Death Dealer as well because you've put something in.
The problem is the go again, because not a lot of arrows have native go again without getting pumps. So if it was a bolt and shot, it wouldn't get pumped. It wouldn't have go again.
Oh, of course.
So you'd have to have some other way to like pump it up.
Yeah.
Well, you could use your bracers of belief. There
yeah,
you go. There you go.
Woohoo. Brilliant. I might have to try that actually. I'm messing around with a weird list at the moment, which is making use of a lot of yellow cards and yellow arrows, including Sick'em Shot, which is a inherent go again card from Arcane Rising. Remember the one?
Yeah, Sick'em's interesting because it's a 1-drop, right? So it's like a 1 for 4 for red that has go again, and then there's also the new one like the whatever wing.
Falcon Wing, yeah, with the aim counters.
Gundam Wing.
Gundam Wing, yeah.
Yeah, but that always has go again as well. But, I'm gonna look up Blood Rot for you because I think it's actually like a cheaper card.
Yeah, I think I've got a few of them. I think I've got a few Blood Rot codexes, maybe one, maybe just one. But
I think people really it's $4. $4.
I'm gonna mess
around. It's like
$4.30. I'm gonna mess around with it. I think. See what happens. But I like the other reloaders because of the fact there's upfront damage attached to them as well, like the next arrow gets plus whatever, whereas Blood Rot is just.
The good thing about Blood Rot is it rips a card out of your opponent's hand, so they have to put a card down too. So there's one less card they can block with.
True, yeah.
And then also one less card they can pitch on their turn. But it also gives you the Ponder token as well as gives them a Blood Rot too. So it doesn't help your things hit more other than taking a card out of their hand, but it does everything else.
Yeah.
I think it's super underrated. Blood Rot is sick.
Yeah, and then Inertia as well is also quite good. It loads from the top of the deck, doesn't it? Put something from the top of the deck into the thing. So, yeah. You
have to be careful with Inertia if you're running like fabled cards or whatever, so you don't like dunk one of your gems into your arsenal.
That's true.
But other than that, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely something to look at. But yeah, as you can see on the screen here, we've got an Azalea Cult hashtag from Point Blank. So this is Nick from Malaysia, absolutely loving Azalea since the get-go, and he finally won his armory the other day with Azalea after playing it for absolutely ages. So fair play. This post is a shout out to obviously the Azalea Cult hashtag FabCCG, and the Azalea Messiah. I'm a papaya, so that's Levi Rauch. I ran his most recent mid-range deck list. So yeah, we were speaking about mid-range earlier. So I'd love to know what that deck list is because I haven't actually seen that yet, to be honest. But yeah, that's cool. So well done for winning your armory. I know he's been trying to do that for a long time. Yeah, and he came up against some of Malaysia's best as well, apparently, on the way to do it. So fair play to him. The next story is from Fabled Hero NZ. Lynette. And this is a cool little picture actually because it's got a playmat from the Azalea Cult. It's also got a Azalea Cult membership card on it. It's also got a Red Zone Rogue Cadico sleeve on the playmat as well.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that until now.
Yeah.
She also has one of my metal tokens too, like in the little pile of the tokens. She's got one of the metal ones in there.
Yeah.
On the right.
So it's just like pure Ranger love all over the place from people that obviously make content on Ranger stuff and people that love but Ranger stuff. It's good to see that it's just riddled with awesome stuff. And she says, what a great game, but why did Gem pair the only 2 Azalea players together in this event? So this was part of the Rainbow X Pitch League, I believe. that Pitch Perfect and Rainbow Pitch are organising. So two Azaleas getting paired into each other straight away. Typical.
It always happens like that, man. Like you and your buddy are the only two like rogue decks, right? You know, you got your Azalea, you got your Levi or whatever it is, like back in the day, and you'd always get paired together. Like you wouldn't get paired against your good matchups. It'll be
a mirror, yeah, be the mirror match.
Yep.
You're like, oh, for goodness sake, I haven't played against
to
this.
make sure one of you doesn't get the chance to get like top 8. They match them together.
Exactly.
Yeah,
oh, it's typical. But yeah, I don't know the result of that, so you have to let us know, Lynette, in the comments below if you're watching this in the future, because I know it's 2-3 o'clock the next day in New Zealand right now, so maybe you watch this when you get back home. Yes, that's the second story, and the last story on the hashtag Azalea cult for today is from Del Figalo 5 on Twitter, and again saying took down an armory tonight on Azalea 3-0. So round 1 against Viserai, round 2 against Katsu, and round 2 against 5. So you matched up against a lot of aggro players there, and you're obviously using a Sandscour Greatbow list. And he says, I guess I'm a Sandscour Greatbow believer now. Hashtag FabTCG, hashtag Azalea Cult. Still something I haven't played with enough, even though I spoiled the fucking card. Still haven't played with it enough, really.
See, they're using a Marvel Sandscour Greatbow, and everyone knows it does more damage.
That's right. Yeah, if it's shinier, it does more damage. Maybe that's what we're missing. Maybe we need to put in more shiny cards, and therefore deal more damage that way. To try and get the
Lynette was rocking an Azalea signed by James White. Like, obviously, it's luckier, right?
Yeah, it's just got more energy, isn't it? So therefore, yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell it's getting late because we're just chatting nonsense and more time goes on. But this is just what it de-escalates into. The longer me and Kel chat, it's just what happens.
Yeah, there was an old joke that when I used to do World of Warcraft raiding, I would listen to metal, like kind of in the background. Not, you know, I would still be able to hear everyone, but my joke was like, the music makes me do like 10% more damage. That's why I'm like topping the DPS charts.
Exactly.
Obviously, I'm playing Rogue. Playing Rogue. If you'd like to know, I played Assassination Rogue. So yes, subtlety's fine, combat's fine, assassination. What's that? Get the mutilate.
Mutilate.
No one knows what I'm talking about. No one knows what I'm talking about. Unless you play WoW, then you might know what I'm talking about.
Let us know if you play WoW. But yeah. So thanks everybody who's tuned in and everyone who's submitted their Azalea Cult hashtags as well. But what are your thoughts on the ban? Leave a comment in the section below as to how you're tackling it and how you're sort of addressing it. We'd love to know. And yeah, tell us your stories and everything going forward. What was you going to say? Was you going to say something, or was you just
no, but I can say something.
Go on then.
I don't know. I usually don't shut up, but I know I can't think of anything.
Right.
I personally cannot wait until they print more like Rangers in another set. Obviously, because we like Ranger, but it really does feel like we need some more equipment for Ranger, man. Like we need some like majestic gloves and some majestic boots or like legendary or whatever. We just need some good like Ranger flavored stuff. We're using too many generics. Like, let's get some Ranger stuff in there.
Yeah.
Like,
I
think trying to think of other classes and like what like loadouts they use, like what percentage of them is generic versus like class. And I think most heroes use a lot of class stuff, right? Like for my assassin, almost all assassin stuff, with the exception of maybe like piece here or there.
Well, yeah, let's just look at that very quickly then. So, welcome to Wraith. Bravo uses Creative Fist. Rhinar, what does Rhinar use as his gloves? Gambler's gloves?
I mean, it depends, I guess. If you're crazy person, you might use the Gambler's gloves. What are the other alternatives for Rhinar? Like, I don't actually know. I should know. I play against so much Rhinar. Maybe it's just like the Goliath Gauntlet.
The ones from Everfest, the Skull Crushers, is a brute arms. Goliath Gauntlet maybe. But then if we look at Dorinthia had Brave Forge for the longest time. Now she's got Ironsong Versus as gloves.
Yeah, Yeah, they have a lot. They're spoiled for choice. They even have like a really good class like common one with the one
Gallantry
from
Gold.
Monarch. I forget what it's called. Yeah, Gallantry Gold's like kind of pretty good too.
Yeah,
So
it's
like
battle worn as well, isn't it? So it's just it can
yeah.
stick around and then do the effect afterwards if it wants to. It's just crazy. And then obviously you got Katsu. What are Katsu's gloves?
So ninjas have either Tiger Stripe Shuko if you want to go for that route. You also have
So that's
the
legendary.
breaking scales. Have the breaking scales, which is the common one that has battle worn
Battle
plus
worn
plus
plus
the
an
plus
effect.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has a +1 on a combo card.
Yeah.
That is a reaction, I think. It's a reaction or an instant, one of those.
So, I mean, I think if you look at all of those, even the legendaries and stuff, yeah, well, the legendaries aren't really. Yeah, well, I guess they all do things with their class, but the reason why Bullseye is banned in Lexi is because it just gives Lexi an extra attack. Because obviously Rangers can't attack from hand, can they normally? So Bullseye Bracers allows Lexi to attack again with a +1, which is just when she already has 2 activations of a bow plus onboard bullseye onboard bolt and shot activations because they can potentially reload another thing. The Bullseye Braces is just another route that Lexi can go down to load another arrow in to get that kill turn or just that over the top ridiculous damage turn, which is why it's been nerfed, right? Because the +1 doesn't really make a difference.
Lexi gets to pretend to be Briar for 1 turn. Right?
Yeah.
You get to pretend to be Briar if you just throw down all your stuff that attacks for 4 and has go again, cost 0. I will say we haven't talked about it because it is kind of jank, but I wonder if there's a world where people start using multi-shot, or what is it called? Is it called multi-shot? The blue tri-shot, yeah. You tri-shot it up so you can activate your bow like multiple times.
Yeah.
Like with Death Dealer is actually like pretty good because you get to draw more cards.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. There used to be that.
Blue, it blocks 3 too.
Yeah, you play it. It costs nothing to play. Then you got 3 cards, so then you can pitch maybe a yellow into Death Dealer, have 1 floating, draw a card. Then you can do the same thing again, your hand composition just needs to be, unless you got a tunic as well, that could also be quite good. But then it feels like you need a load of setup for that to actually work. And then 3 of a kind also could be quite good in Azalea. Then if everything lines up for you, because then you have multiple bow activations also.
You would need to do that before. I thought of running Tri-Shot and Lexi, and it's just like you don't need to. It's like overkill.
No, you don't. Exactly.
You don't need to do them. But if Voltaire drew you a card, then maybe it's pretty good because like drawing a card is really good. So if you pitch like a blue, right? Maybe this is a version of Azalea where you're actually running a lot more blues, right? If you pitch a blue, that's super good, right? So basically, you play the tri-shot, pitch a blue, have 2 floating, immediately draw the card. You still need to have some sort of go again.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah, that's the real thing. You need to go again.
In Azalea, that's the thing, yeah, because you can't give your arrows
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire, then tri-shot, then it all needs to line up perfectly.
You could actually, you could use the perch grapplers, which will give your arrows go again.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I have actually used those. I have actually cracked the perch grapplers a few times against Bill on the Azalea Ringer, and sometimes they can be. You can string some stuff together with those, but again, you need the Bullseye Bracers in those turns because you can only put something into your arsenal once with Azalea. Right now, you can
That's why you have the tri-shot. you tri-shot with the perch grapplers, and then you're like, bam, bam. So I started blasting, and you're like,
blasting.
Go again, and they're drawing, and they're doing stuff. You know, it's probably a meme, but I think it could actually be like an interesting or fun, like kind of like combo deck, right?
Yeah.
What would you actually?
There is one.
What would you actually need for the combo to work?
There is one that exists.
Yeah?
There is one that exists. We did an interview with Paval like maybe a year or so ago when Outsiders didn't exist, when Everfest didn't exist, which had like energy potions and stuff in, because you could just crack an energy potion to activate your perches. You crack an energy potion to get 2 activations of Death Dealer after you've played Tri-Shot. You know, all these options are still there. You can still use that tech if you want to try and experiment with it, but I just don't know where that would get you with what's out there at the moment. It was actually quite defensive also. It's quite a defensive deck that he was running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's probably just like a meme, but
yeah.
Don't let your memes be dreams. Go for it. You got this.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? This is another random thought and hope. We don't know what the 3rd class is for the professor's collaboration product. We know what the other 3 classes are. We don't know the 3rd one is, or the 4th one.
True.
I hope it's Ranger, and I hope they get some dank stuff. I don't have my hopes up. We're already getting a Guardian. Probably just going to be a Rune Blade.
Probably should be a Rune Blade.
To be honest.
Yeah.
Should be a Rune Blade.
Nice little friendly round the table Rune Blade class, which does
We're
arcane
just blading
damage.
it up. What you doing, bro? Blading.
Blading. Just blading all the
Got my
runes.
blades on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
blading.
It's just like it's just Briar from the 80s dressed as such, and she's got her blades on. And then on each of the wheels of the roller blades, they just look like rune chants.
Oh yes, that would be sick. Merchant.
Yeah, dude.
Super Mario Black Tiger is saying merchant could be the other class. That could be true in the round table.
Merchant would be awesome. That's the one that I actually hope it is.
Mm-hmm.
The me being stingy hopes it's an assassin, but I don't think it would be. I think merchant would be cool.
Yeah, I think it would make sense in that sort of product as well. To be fair, making deals and stuff, because
it's like the perfect place to like print a bunch of merchant crap, right?
Yeah.
Give him some weird merchanty stuff.
Stuff that you can print without actually affecting the overall metagame that actually cares about the competitive side, right? You just print a bunch of stuff which is just for fun, and then it doesn't have any effect in competition.
Well, you can do that in like supplemental sets, but I think the downside is people then have to open up those cards, and people might get like bummed out when they're like opening up a pack and their majestic is like a merchant card, and you're like, what the hell is this?
True. Yeah.
I'd be stoked, but I think a lot of other people would be like, damn it, another merchant card.
Yeah, where am I going to use this? Yeah, exactly.
Because people definitely said that with Silver Palms. They were like, God damn, I got the stupid merchant legendary.
Yeah.
Like unplayable.
Yeah, I remember
It's
that.
good. It's fun. Play it in
Those
UPF.
days.
It's really fun. And then play with someone else being Valda, and then just feed them seismic
Oh
surges.
yeah, just feeding them up with the seismic surges. Oh goodness
Nom, nom,
me.
nom.
But-
I eat your seismic surges. I eat them all up.
Oh my god, it's horrible.
Anyway.
Anyway, standard procedure. Go off the rails towards the end. But yeah, again, leave a comment section below as to what your thoughts are with the Bullseye ban, what you're running, what you're not running, you know, what all the good stuff, and we'll do it all over again. Probably in a few weeks. In a few weeks from now, me and Jim will do a live Azalea cult, just wrapping up our Birmingham calling experiences and what events we play Azalea in during the weekend. I'm definitely going to be doing the calling. To what success, I don't know. And I might be running a stupid list, which I will update you on all as well. So should be fun. And also the Azalea Ringer will also return as well very soon. As you can see in front of you, that's the thumbnail for it. Should be good to play against the other heroes, although I don't know whether they're going to be figured out. It's just going to be fun to play against them, to see what they're like. See how that all returns.
I need to open up more Dust Till Dawn so I can actually build some of these decks.
Yeah.
I have opened some, but the Majestics are really hard to get, man. There are too many Majestics in Dust Till Dawn. Like, I've opened up 10 boxes, and I've opened up 0 Warmongers for myself. For my supporters, I opened up some. I'm not going to spoil, but I opened up some for the supporters. And then, like, for the heroes, I've opened up 1 Young Prism, which is a Majestic, by the way. No Adult Prisms in 10 boxes.
Yeah.
I did open up 1 Adult Vincent, so I can build Vincent. But, like, man, the pull rates, even though you get, like, you know, about 8 Majestics per box, there's so many in this set. It's just, like, feels tough to get them.
It felt like that with Outsiders and like trying to find the Arachne, because that Arachne was also a majestic, right?
Oh, do you mean Dynasty?
Oh, sorry, Dynasty. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like I opened up cases and I did not. It took me forever to get just a regular adult Arachne.
Yeah.
Like they were cheap. You could buy them for like whatever. I ended up buying a foil one from Jim for like I don't know, like $4 or whatever it was. But yeah, they seem like pretty hard to pull.
Yeah.
I don't know. And the figments. I have literally only opened up 3 figments. That's it. And then like 10 boxes, just three figments.
Yeah.
You need. Yeah.
Those are the extended art heralds, quite hard to find as well, right? The extended art common heralds and stuff.
Yeah, they're like 1 to 2 per box.
Yeah. Got a few of those.
They come in a rare, like as rares, but I feel like they're more like majestics in terms of like pull rates. It feels.
So,
you get like
yeah.
one or 2 per box. They're pretty cool looking too.
Mm.
Pretty cool looking. Yeah. Anyway. That's still balanced stuff.
Anyway, we'll pretty much end the stream now. It's been a nice little discussion. Thanks for joining us today. And Jim, if you're watching this now in the future, hope you get well soon. And I will see you very, very soon in Birmingham to have some fun. And I think I was going to say something else as well, but I can't remember. I think I've covered everything I was going to say. But yeah, for whatever reason, if people are watching this now in the future and you don't know where to find you, sir, who are you? What do you do?
I'm just some dude. I don't know. I'm just some dude surrounded in
American friend. Yeah, that's all it
card games and figures. That's just me. Hello. I like card games a lot, and I like to talk about them because they're my favorite. So
exactly,
that's me.
You're playing a lot of them as well.
Oh, dude, yeah, don't get me started. There's some really good ones. Really, really good ones. You know they're good when I play it for like 3 hours and then we're like done, and I'm like, fuck, dude, I could play for another 3 hours.
Play again, yeah. Yeah.
I just play for more. Like, good. I had the same experience with Flesh and Blood when I first picked up Flesh and Blood. I still do a little bit, where I like just play for like six to 9 hours straight. So that's how you know the game's good. Can't put it down.
Yeah, that's right. But
yeah. But anyway.
Yeah.
Hi everyone.
What's that, folks?
For everyone. The problem is the problem is that the like the
you can see the reflection in the glasses.
Yeah, it's like a what is it, like a parabola, whatever. Not that, it's just like infinitely going into the glasses.
Oh, I've been streaming this whole time, but yeah, we'll close it off now.
Hello.